You want to see me?
Mrs. Meadows? Yes, I did. You wrote to me.
Who are you, please?
My name's Sedgmire.
I'm sorry. Lord Sedgmire?
You're my grandfather.
That remains to be seen. I want to talk to you.
But of course. This is Midge Khan.
So I hear.
I didn't expect you.
I thought I'd better come and see for myself, eh? A good likeness.
Yes. Robert had it done a few years after they were married.
Yes.
Wouldn't you like some tea?
Thank you.
Midge, dear, would you ask Elsie to make some tea?
But, Granny,
Midge, your grandfather's traveled a long way to see me. Now, be a good girl. Do as you're told. Won't you sit down?
Thank you. You're an alderman?
I'm a county alderman.
Bless myself. Can't keep up with these newfangled ideas. Women in my time. My son-in-law left you a guardian to this child.
Yes, but the legal business is held up. We can't get probate because the body has not been found.
So I understand. Unfortunate business. Think the fellow's dead?
Yes.
Yeah, suicide, I suppose. Got himself into a damned mess and shot his life, then killed himself. No near relatives?
Oh, yes, he has a younger brother, an architect in Harrogate. There's nothing wrong with him, but he's no use. And his wife is all fish and finger bowls. No common sense.
Which you have, eh?
Robert trusted me.
You knew him well?
For 16 years, ever since Muriel's illness.
The child's a handful, I can see, and delicate, I understand. Now, you're not a young woman, Mrs. Meadows. What I can't understand is why you ever consented to be her guardian.
You never knew your son-in-law much, did you?
Can't say I did. Can't say I wanted to. When a common farmer takes advantage of your daughter in the hunting field, follows her home, rushes her off her feet, carries her back to his place, drives her into an asylum, then chucks himself off a cliff to leave the mess he's made for other people to cope with, well, he's not the kind of fellow you're inclined to make friends with.
That's what you think.
What would you think, madam?
I can only say what I know. Robert Khan loved your daughter, and she loved him. There's no doubt of that. He wasn't just what you call a common farmer. The Khans have owned Maythorpe for 500 years. They may not have had a title, but they were gentry. Robert was the best looking of the lot. Well educated, great sportsman. There wasn't a girl in the riding, farm or county, who wouldn't have had him.
He shouldn't have married my daughter, Mrs. Meadows.
You mean your daughter shouldn't have married him? You'll have to forgive me, Lord Sedgmire. There was not a taint in the Khan blood. You know where the bad heredity was.
I never asked him to mix up with it. I forbade the marriage.
By blustering and swearing and driving Muriel until she was set on it.
She?
Did she run away to Khan, or did Khan run away with her?
He's run away now, hasn't he?
Khan would never run away from anything. Well, let's say they were young and in love. But I'll tell you this, that the moment they were married, Robert Khan set himself to do the best for her. First she wanted change, foreign travel, Baden, Monte Carlo, Vienna.
Oh, yes, her mother was like that.
Well, of course, he could afford it at the time. Yes, he had the house done up, they entertained, he spent more than he should. But the farm was doing well, and he could manage. Then the war came, and he joined up. First he was in England, then he was in France. Muriel stayed here and continued to entertain. Yes, she kept open house for young officers. And there were stories.
What do you mean?
Well, when Robert came on leave in 1917, he found her in London with a lot of them. I believe there was quite a scene. She liked scenes, you know. It was then that she became pregnant. And Robert had to go to the war, and she came home. And when he came on leave again, he asked me to take care of her. She was already very strange then. And when the child arrived, we could see at once that there was something badly wrong. We sent for Khan. He did everything he possibly could. Got a specialist from London, nurses, the finest treatment. And then he had to go back. Oh, it was awful. I've never seen a man so torn. Never think, Lord Sedgemoor, that he didn't love her.
Well?
Come upstairs. There's something I'd like you to see. This is the room he had furnished for her. Nothing's been changed at all. Look in the wardrobe. All her clothes, velvet, fur, satin. Would you call that hardship? 30 pairs of shoes. Tell me, Lord Sedgemoor, could you have done much better for her?
Oh, God.
In a way, I don't blame you. She was an only child, wasn't she? Mind you, I think that Robert was foolish. He would have done better if he hadn't tried to give her everything she wanted. But he felt he owed her so much because she'd cut herself off from her family by marrying him. And when she was ill, he thought it was all his fault.
His fault?
He thought by making her have the child that she'd gone out of her mind. It wasn't true.
What do you mean?
Well, the doctors were never sure whether Muriel's illness was due to having the child.
You mentioned something about a lot of young officers, that there were stories. Mrs. Meadows, what did you mean by that? That the child isn't Khan's?
He claimed it.
And you, what do you think?
I think we shall never know.
I see. You want to keep this child. I shall, of course, see that you don't suffer financially. We're not too well off. Land values, you know.
I'm all right. We're not paupers.
Oh, of course, but you must see that I couldn't possibly let you. There's another thing. You really want to keep her. I quite see that I couldn't force you to give her up. My son-in-law made you her guardian. He obviously thought you'd be good to her. But I came here with an idea in my head.
What's that?
My nephew and his wife have lived with me since my wife died. They have one child, a girl, a little younger than Midge. It's lonely at our place. Not many neighbors. And we haven't sent her to school. She has governesses. And perhaps one of those finishing places, Paris, maybe. I think it would do her good to have companionship. What do you say?
I think it will have to depend on what Midge feels herself. She's old enough to know what she wants.
Granny! Where are you? The tea's ready!
Shall we go down?
thought you were never coming. Aren't you thirsty? I hope you don't mind a broken spout, but I did find some good china. Grandfather, do you take cream?
Thank you.
And sugar?
Well, you seem to have established your claim to me all right, young woman. What do you suppose I came here for?
To take me home to Shropshire, of course.